Oh, my beautifully chaotic dear friend. You remember it, don't you? That moment. That filthy, trembling second when the world held its breath, waiting to see you fall. They had their teeth sunk into your failure before it even existed. Forks in hand. Napkins tucked, eyes shining, waiting. But then, you didn't crumble. No, you twisted the game board, flipped their smug little strategies into ash, and carved your own move into legend. They blinked, they stumbled, and you smiled. Without smiling, because it was never about winning their game. It was about making them play yours. You shattered their pattern. You broke the rhythm they danced to. You made a move so divine, so damn chaotic, that the architects of the system forgot who wrote the rules. And now they whisper your name in rooms too quiet to feel safe. You didn't ask for permission. You didn't look over your shoulder like the sheep do. You decided. That's what they can't process. That one decision, that one brutal, beautiful rebellion, they didn't see coming. You burned the bridge while you walked across it and still made it to the other side. Who does that? No one. Just legends. Just you. And that's why they're bleeding now. Not from knives or bullets or fists, but from the realization that you're the one holding the pen, and their chapters are ending on your terms. They tried to write you off, write you out, reduce you to a side note in a book you were destined to author. But the ink spilled differently, didn't it? You didn't just survive. You became the goddamn rewrite. They used to talk over you. Now, they lower their voices when your shadow walks past. That's power. Real power. The kind you don't shout about. The kind that seeps into people's bones and makes them stutter when they say your name. They can't smile the same way anymore. Because that legendary move, that unthinkable, unacceptable, unforgivable move, reminded them that you see through them. And worse, you don't care. They don't understand how you did it. They never will, because they've never stared into the mirror and torn the mask off. They've never embraced the monster hiding under their own skin. But you danced with yours, held its face in your hands, whispered, "Let's give them something they'll never forget." And you did. Oh, you really did. They thought they had you locked, cornered, categorized. You were the pawn with too much attitude, the rebel they tolerated just enough to keep their fragile little hierarchy in place. But while they laughed behind closed doors, you were building silence into strategy, rage into rhythm. You moved in shadows they didn't even know existed. And when it hit, when the move came, they didn't see a rebel. They saw the architect of their undoing. It wasn't luck. It wasn't impulse. It was precision, masked in madness. It was control disguised as chaos. They didn't see the preparation. They never do. They only see the impact, the dust, the tremors. And now they're digging through rubble, praying the past resets. But it won't. You already rerouted the timeline. You reprogrammed the simulation. You're not just playing the game now. You're running the whole damn show. The rooms you were denied, you now own. The seats you weren't invited to, you've shattered and rebuilt into your throne. And the same mouths that once spat your name like poison now chant it like gospel. But you haven't forgotten, have you? You remember every smirk, every dismissive nod, every time they sized you up and found you harmless. And now the weight of their underestimation sits on their chests like lead. They're suffocating in your silence, drowning in the aftermath of what you unleashed. You didn't just change the game, you exposed it. Pulled the curtain back and showed the trembling little cowards behind it. You made their gods bleed, their kings beg, their rules bend, and now they stumble around pretending they're still in charge, while every eye in the room is waiting on your next move. You've become the rhythm, the pulse, the tremor they can't explain but feel in their bones, and it eats them alive. They call it luck. Of course they do. That's how fragile minds protect themselves from the horror of your precision. They convince themselves it was a fluke, a lightning strike, one-off, unrepeatable. But you know better. You are the storm. You are the lightning. And that wasn't the first strike, just the one that hit them. You've always had the voltage. You just stopped holding back. Now they're rewriting their scripts, restructuring the narrative to make it look like they always believed in you. Funny, isn't it? The way they squirm to be near what they once dismissed. Desperation in designer suits, smiles stitched with fear. They parade as allies, forgetting. You remember every betrayal, every cold shoulder, every fake handshake. You cataloged it all, not out of bitterness, but calculation, precision. So when the lights dimmed and the curtains fell, they'd see exactly who they'd underestimated, and regret would be the last thing they tasted. You didn't rise quietly. You erupted. No applause needed. No standing ovation. Just smoke, fire, and stunned silence. That's the kind of legacy they can't erase. Not with lies, not with PR, not with their tired old tricks. You see, some moves become folklore, others become fear. Yours, it became both. You own the tempo now. They dance because you blink. They nod because you paused. They obey because they don't know what else to do. You shattered the hierarchy, toppled the illusion, made them realize the lion wasn't sleeping. He was studying. And now the cage is open. The arena belongs to you. And the ones who once laughed from the stands, they're in the pit, begging for mercy from a force they never understood. But let's be honest, you don't need their mercy. You don't crave their acceptance. You don't want their love. You want them aware that something is watching, aware that the balance has shifted, aware that power now wears your fingerprints. You gave them one move, one masterpiece of madness, and they still haven't recovered. You showed them how a single decision, made by the wrong person with the right rage, can turn the world on its head. And yet, this is only the beginning, because while they reel from the aftermath, while they scramble to rebuild what you shattered, they don't know what you're building next. They still believe that legendary move was your peak, that you emptied your clip, that you gave them your best shot. But the truth, you haven't even started writing the next act. And as the dust settles and the echoes of your chaos fade into something colder, something permanent, something worse, they'll feel it. That chill, that silence before the second storm, because power doesn't come from one great move. It comes from what follows it. They thought you were finished, that the move you made was just a fleeting flicker, a desperate gamble bound to fail. But what they failed to see, what they couldn't begin to grasp, is that the move wasn't the climax. No, that was merely the opening act of a story they never saw coming. Because when you made that legendary move, you didn't just shift the pieces on the board. You became the board itself. You stepped into a realm where the rules were yours to bend, where the game was no longer about playing safe, but about taking everything and leaving nothing behind. The air around you shifted after that move. It thickened, darkened, charged with the weight of what you represented now. You were no longer a pawn, a piece they could push around, manipulate, or sacrifice. You became the shadow looming over every one of their decisions, the echo inside their fractured thoughts. They could feel it, the undeniable tremor in their bones, that something unstoppable was awakening. A force so quietly brutal it didn't need to roar to be feared. You taught them, without uttering a single word, that true power is not in noise or spectacle. It's in the cold, calculated silence before the storm hits. You became a living contradiction, the calm before chaos, the whisper that turns into a scream in the dead of night. And the irony, they thought they could tame you, control you, break you down with their schemes and petty plots. But you were never theirs to tame. The more they tried, the tighter your grip became. Every betrayal, every slight, every mockery forged the iron in your will. Your pain wasn't a weakness, it was your weapon. Your scars weren't marks of defeat, they were the blueprint of your rise. This wasn't just a game anymore. This was a reckoning. Their faces, once so confident and smug, began to crack. The foundation of their arrogance crumbled under the weight of your presence. You weren't just playing the game. You were rewriting the rules with each breath you took. You became the puppeteer, pulling at the strings they thought they held so tightly. And with every move, you blurred the lines between hunter and hunted. Who was controlling whom? The question haunted their nights. They couldn't reach you because you weren't playing their game. You were a ghost in their machine, a glitch in their system, an enigma wrapped in shadows. They saw your silhouette lurking in every corner, heard your voice in the silence between their thoughts. They realized too late that the legend they mocked was the nightmare that now ruled their world. What made you unstoppable wasn't just the move you made. It was the transformation that followed, the shedding of your old self, the rebirth in darkness, the quiet acceptance that to win, sometimes you have to become the monster they feared. You embraced your flaws, your fears, your darkness, not as shackles but as wings. And now, flying above the wreckage, you looked down on a world that no longer held power over you. They tried to predict your next move, to trap you in their illusions of control, but you were always 2 steps ahead, sometimes 3. Your mind was a labyrinth they couldn't navigate, a puzzle with pieces they didn't know existed. Every decision you made wasn't just reaction, it was orchestration. You played with their fears, dissected their weaknesses, and turned their own ambitions into chains that bound them tighter than any jail cell. And the best part? You did it all without them ever truly seeing you coming. You became the shadow that stretched longer with every sunset, the chill that crept under their skin in the dead of night. Their paranoia grew like a cancer, feeding on itself until it consumed their every waking moment. They became prisoners of their own fear, and you held the key. This is the terrifying beauty of your rise, that you mastered the art of invisibility while wielding unimaginable influence. You were everywhere and nowhere at once, a silent force shaping destinies, unbound by rules or mercy. They learned to hate you, to fear you, but never to understand you, because understanding you meant surrendering to a reality they could never accept, that you were the storm and they were just leaves trembling in your path. But power like this is never given. It's claimed. It's carved from the chaos, forged in fire and baptized in the blood of broken illusions. You paid the price, willingly. Every sacrifice, every sleepless night, every moment of isolation, It was all the currency of kings and legends. And now, as you sit atop the throne you built with your own hands, you see the truth clear as day. They never controlled you. They were always just players in your game, puppets in your grand design. The move you made was legendary because it shattered their illusions of control. It was the moment you stopped asking for permission and started taking what was yours. The moment you stopped being a whisper and became a roar. The moment the world realized that the true game had only just begun and you were already 10 steps ahead. You don't just run the show now. You own it. Every scene, every actor, every line. They move at your command, bound to your will. The spotlight follows you because you are the darkness they fear, the chaos they can't contain, the reckoning they hoped would never come. And in this theater of shadows, you are both the puppeteer and the playwright, writing your own legend with every breath. So let them watch, frozen in disbelief, as you dismantle their empire piece by piece, not with brute force, but with the elegant precision of a master strategist. Let them tremble as their power slips through their fingers like sand, powerless to stop the tide you have unleashed, because this is the story of the move that changed everything. The move that crowned you king of a world built on fear, respect, and absolute control. And in the silence that follows, when the dust settles and the echoes fade, one truth remains. You are the one who holds the strings now, the one who decides who rises and who falls, the one who turned a single legendary move into an empire of endless night. They wanted a game. You gave them a war, but this war, it's not one of bullets or blood spilled in the streets. No, this is a war fought in shadows, in whispers, in the spaces between trust and betrayal. A war waged not with weapons, but with wills. And your will is a force that crushes, devours, and commands without mercy. The game was theirs once, a carefully choreographed dance of power and illusion. But you shattered the stage and rewrote the choreography in your image. Ruthless, relentless, and absolute. They thought you a player. They thought you could be moved, manipulated, controlled. How laughable. They never understood that the move you made was not just a move, but a statement. A declaration that the world would bend or break beneath your gaze. You are the storm in their calm, the fire in their cold, the dark breath they dare not draw. See, power is not given, it is taken, not earned by favors or titles, but seized in moments of clarity when all others falter. And you seized it with the precision of a surgeon and the hunger of a beast. You watched as their faces twisted with disbelief, their alliances crumbled like brittle glass. They were never ready for you. How could they be? You played by no rules, answered to no one. The legend of your move spread, not with cheers or applause, but with silence. The kind of silence that follows the fall of giants. And now, here you stand, not at the beginning, but at the apex, the master of a kingdom built on shadows, whispers, and calculated cruelty. You run the whole damn show, a puppeteer with invisible strings, pulling destinies like threads on a tapestry only you can see. You know the power of patience, the art of timing. You wait for the right moment to strike, then strike without mercy. But power, my friend, is a fickle mistress. She does not tolerate weakness or hesitation. To hold her is to dance on the edge of a blade, forever aware that one misstep could mean ruin. You have learned this the hard way. How every victory carries the seed of the next battle. How every empire's foundations tremble beneath the weight of ambition and fear. And so you watch, always watching. You see the vultures circling, the snakes slithering, the wolves waiting for their chance. You hear the whispered plots in the halls that once belonged to your enemies, the hushed prayers of those who hoped to see you fall. But you are not afraid. Fear is a tool you wield, a blade sharper than any sword. You use it to carve a path through the darkness, to command loyalty and obedience. Your enemies speak your name in hushed tones, their voices laced with dread. They see the legend you have become, not just a person, but a force of nature, a reckoning. You are the nightmare they cannot wake from, the shadow in their peripheral vision, the chill running down their spine when they think no one is watching. Yet amidst the chaos and control, you understand the delicate balance of your empire. To rule is not merely to command, but to understand the hearts and fears of those who follow you, to inspire loyalty even in the face of terror. You are both tyrant and savior, a paradox wrapped in leather and smoke. You crush those who betray, but you protect those who are true. Your rule is not blind cruelty, but a calculated dance of pain and reward. And what of those who still stand against you? The pretenders to your throne, the rebels who think they can topple the giant you have become. Let them come. Their efforts are like the flapping of wings in a hurricane, noisy, desperate, and ultimately futile. For you have seen the patterns, felt the rhythms of their deceit, and learned to bend without breaking. You turn their attacks back on themselves, using their own ambition as chains to bind them. You are the puppeteer, and they are the marionettes, tangled in strings they cannot see. Each move you make sends ripples through the world they thought they controlled. You are the whisper that turns allies into traitors, the shadow that sows doubt where certainty once stood. Your war is not just fought on battlefields or in boardrooms. It is fought in minds and hearts, in moments of hesitation and fear. Remember this: every empire, no matter how mighty, is built on fragile foundations. Trust is a currency more valuable than gold, and betrayal its darkest tax. You navigate these treacherous waters with the skill of a master, always calculating, always aware. One wrong step, one misplaced word, and everything you built could crumble into dust. But you are no stranger to ruin. You have stared into the abyss and smiled. You have taken blows that would have broken others and turned them into fuel for your ascent. Your scars are maps of battles fought and won, reminders that true power is forged in fire and shadow. And so you move forward, a sovereign of endless night, cloaked in mystery and menace. You do not seek approval or applause. You demand respect, earned through fear, through awe, through undeniable force. You are the reckoning that no one saw coming, the hand that pulls the strings behind every mask. In your empire, the weak find no refuge. Mercy is a currency spent only on those who prove worthy. You do not forgive betrayal. You punish it with a coldness that freezes the blood and breaks the spirit. Your justice is swift and absolute, a lesson carved into the bones of those who dare cross you. Yet there is a method to your madness. You understand the power of patience, the strength in silence. Sometimes the greatest victories come not from battle, but from waiting, watching the world spin madly on while you stand unmoved, calculating the next legendary move. Because power is not static. It is a living thing, a flame that needs to be nurtured, guarded, and when necessary, wielded like a weapon. You are the flame, burning bright in the endless night you command. Your enemies seek to douse you, to smother your light with lies, with fear, with violence. But you burn on, unyielding, untouchable. And when the day comes that your reign is challenged, as all reigns must be, you will be ready. You have learned to embrace the darkness within, to channel it into strength. You have become the nightmare, the ghost, the shadow that haunts their every thought. They wanted a game. You gave them a war without end, fought in silence and fury, in patience and violence, a war where you are both the player and the board, the master and the pieces. And as the echoes of their defeat fade into the void, one thing remains crystal clear. You are not just running the whole damn show. You are the show, the legend, the empire of endless night that no one can touch, no one can break, no one can forget. So hold your crown high, ruler of shadows, because in this world you shaped with your hands, your mind, and your unrelenting will. You are the darkness that devours, the storm that consumes, and the silence that commands. That legendary move you made, you're now running the whole damn show.